Okay, good to go. Welcome, guys. I'm so happy to see all of you here. I'm sure so many more of you are going to be joining in the next few minutes. I would really just like to pour out some gratitude for everyone that's on this call tonight live and everyone tuning into the recording. My name is Morgan. If you don't know me, I am from Ontario, Canada, about an hour outside of Toronto. I live in a little town called Port Perry, if anyone knows where that is. I linked up with Tina Gray over here because she started something so phenomenal for the young Canadians within our wonderful Start Your Life culture. And I just wanted to run with this idea and really link up a community of people from different provinces and territories so we all, move forward within this awesome movement that we all hold so closely to our hearts. If you're tuning into the recording, maybe you don't know what this is. We are just a group of like-minded individuals with a common vision to ignite all young people to own their lives physically and financially, and through our contributions, create freedom and a lasting legacy. How many of you guys could get so excited about that, right? So we are the Start Canada. We have a Start Canada committee if anyone is interested in joining that. And our purpose on these calls is to get together every Sunday, join in community, get some training, get some belief piece, just, get your belief a 10 out of 10 in all areas. And this call is for associates. And I'm so excited to get started with the 3 speakers we have this week. Going forward, we do have a bit of a disclaimer if you guys are tuning into the recordings. We just align ourselves with a really phenomenal health and wellness company. We don't diagnose, treat, cure any diseases or illnesses, and we also may make some income claims. Please know that those results may not be typical. So moving forward, I want to jump right into our starter in the spotlight this week. Her name is Kimberly Drisdelle. She's 25. She's from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. She's currently living in St. John's, and she's been in this movement for 6 years. I'm so excited to hear more about your story, Kimberly.
Thank you so much, Morgan. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Morgan and Tina, for talking to me and asking me to be on this call. I'm so excited. So a little bit about my story. I started Isagenix, or I started having the products about 6 years ago. So I've seen a lot of the company evolve, and I am so unbelievably excited to see Start Canada become a group, because I think it's been so needed, and we have so many amazing people in this group and so many amazing communities I know that are really going to thrive with what we have to offer them. A little bit about me. So before I heard of these products or started using anything, I was a very overwhelmed, very anxious, incredibly overworked university student. I don't know if any of you can relate to that. Yeah, I see some people nodding. I was going to school full-time and I was working full-time. I had moved from Nova Scotia to Newfoundland, and I bit off way more than I could chew, and I was trying to do everything at once. I'd leave my house, and I'd come back about 18 hours later from campus and from my jobs, and in that time, in 2 years, I managed to gain 35 pounds. So I was very stressed out and very overworked. I was introduced by my mother, who, in an incredible string of bad luck, was in a taxi that got hit by another car. And then a couple months later, she was crossing the street and she got hit by a car. She was fine, thank goodness, but watching her recover with the help of these products was really eye-opening. And from that day forward, for the next 6 years, they've been just a complete staple in my life. Now, 6 years later, I graduated a year or so ago, and I've started to build a community here in Newfoundland. I don't know if anyone's been to Newfoundland. It's an amazing place. Yeah, it's an amazing place, but we are pretty isolated when it comes to getting food in sometimes. I know Alexia can probably understand that, and anyone who's ever lived on an island or up north or anything like that. So it's really been amazing in terms of getting healthy and nutritious food. The community has been absolutely unbelievable. It's been so, so inclusive. And I was telling Tina, I think it was last week, that 6 years in now, my upline is pretty much my family. I'm so blessed to have an amazing upline. They're just like family. They've been there for me through so much. I can always pick up the phone and call them. And so I'm just so blessed to have this community. And yeah, the only other thing I'd mention is that I guess now building a community and building teams and really getting more involved in the movement, it's been amazing. I'm really passionate about nonprofit work, and it's been my vehicle towards being able to do the work I do in nonprofits, and not having to worry about my student loan payments. I don't know if anyone's back into repayment mode yet, but it is a scary, scary thing. And we're not living in a generation where we can just go out, snap our fingers, and get a 9-to-5 job anymore with a 1 degree. And so I think it's really, really amazing what we have to offer people. And I'm so excited to bring that community. And I'm so unbelievably excited that Start Canada exists now, because 6 years ago, we weren't on the map, and now it's like we're here and we're ready to make change.
I love it. I feel so pumped up after that. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sharing that story about your mom. That's just, you were so phenomenal. I think you're such a sweetheart. And who can relate to that? Like, I feel like that was literally my story about being a struggling student, and my loan repayments 4 months ago came out the first one, like $700. I'm like, oh my God. Thank goodness I have this vehicle, right? Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank you.
And you guys know that the Start in the Spotlight piece is because we are storytellers. That's what we are within this company. And, you may have not related to someone's story, but you could totally tuck it away and use it for someone else, right? Like, we all know someone who's graduating university in the next 1, 2, 3 years. So thank you so much, Kimberly. I appreciate you sharing your story so much. And with that, guys, we're going to jump right into the phenomenal training piece this week. And I have to be totally honest, I didn't and everyone who knew that he was coming up on the call was so excited. And I've just heard so much about this guy. I'm so excited to hear from him, that he just does so much work with youth. So I think he really aligns with the Start Your Life movement. He's a youth speaker. He's a co-founder of My Life Online, which is a tool to help kids. He's the creator of Moving Millennials podcast, which sounds so cool. I totally want to plug into that. He opened up for Peter Kelly at the New Way Live, which is just so freaking cool. Him and his beautiful wife just introduced their son into the world 6 months ago. So Dave, I would love if you could start us off with your story and then jump into your piece.
Morgan, I think you cut out there for the last couple seconds, but I got most of that.
Okay.
And,
I just said,
thank you so much.
If you could start off with you. Go ahead.
There's some choppiness. It's okay. I got it. I'll take it. Morgan, nice to meet you. Kimberly, thanks for sharing your story. And I have been to Newfoundland. Actually, I was in Newfoundland in 2009 for a choir 500, which is I'm a big choral musician, singer, conductor, choral leader. And Tina, thank you so much for really getting this whole thing started. I will very quickly share my story, and then I'll hop into some training. My story in Isagenix goes back a decade, if you can believe it. I enrolled in Isagenix in June of 2006. I was 20 years old, and I was attending university at University of Western Ontario in London, studying music as a voice performance major, studying opera and art song and singing in all these different languages. And I was actually a residence don. And when I was introduced to Isagenix, I was going through some really tough times with digestion, stress-related digestive issues, I think, diagnosed as different things, but we're not going to get into that. I decided to give Isagenix a shot. It was a friend's dad who introduced me to Isagenix named Bruno DiGiulio. And I convinced my father to try the products with me. And we both went on the 30-day system at the time. That was kind of all there was back in 2006. There was a 9-day and a 30-day, and that was basically it. There was no such thing as Start. This is like long before Start, not just Start Canada, but like Start in general didn't exist. I don't think Eric Hoover was even working with the company yet. And so my dad and I got on the program, and in the first 30 days, my body weight increased by 7 pounds. And simultaneously, my dad released 15 pounds on the program. And our bodies needed very different things. I was really underweight for a 20-year-old guy in university. And that was due to these digestive issues. My dad was about 260 pounds and 6 feet tall. So he was in need of some weight loss. And I was really intrigued by the fact that we got very different results in the program, but beneficial results for both of us. And we both noticed a shift in energy, and I have really not missed a day of putting these products in my body since June of 2006, amongst all my travels and just everywhere. And it's just been part of my life ever since. And I don't want to cloud this with too many details of the story, but I will say that it was Isagenix that opened my mind up to the idea of entrepreneurship, the idea of working for myself. And it was a conference call with Susan Sly when she was a 4-star Golden Circle. When Susan Sly was a 4-star Golden Circle, that when I first heard about Rich Dad Poor Dad, the book by Robert Kiyosaki. And I was in my res room at Western, started reading that book. I learned the cash flow quadrant, right? And if you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad stuff or understand the cash flow quadrant with the E and the S and the B and the I, employee, self-employed, business owner, investor, it's mandatory reading and education, self-education, if you're in this profession. So it was, and then I found Elizabeth White, who was an Isagenix millionaire. She was like a 4-star Golden Circle at the time. And I went over to her house and I started learning about network marketing. And I was 20 years old. There was no start. And I started to make a part-time income. And, my journey with Isagenix has been really interesting. My first celebration was 2008 in Las Vegas. And I was probably one of 7 people under the age of 35 at the whole thing. So, I walked into the room and it was just all baby boomers, people my parents' age. And I guess a little bit younger, but I did feel out of place initially, but I saw something and I knew that eventually the young people would come. And so we're here now, and obviously a bigger, prouder, and louder than ever before, obviously. And I love what's happening in Canada, specifically with the startup. I'm going to dive into this training. I've worked on some stuff specifically for tonight. I'm going to share my screen if that's okay with everyone. So just give me 1 second to do that. I'm going to share my keynote. There we go. And can someone just give me a thumbs up if you see this? Or what do you, oh, you know what? I think I have presenter display on. I'm going to exit out of that. Give me 1 second here. Bear with me. All right, we're going to share the screen one more time. I've now taken the presenter display off, and it should all just magically work. Yes, thumbs up. Do you see the keynote? Crafting and communicating your vision, or no? Not so much. Do you see it now?
Yeah.
I'm going to stay in this view. I won't go into full screen, but that's fine. You can see this? Yep, thumbs up. So I was asked by Morgan and Tina tonight to talk about sharing a vision, communicating a vision. And as Morgan alluded to, I have become, in the last 6 years, a professional speaker, mostly speaking to youth, but now I speak a lot to parents on the topic of digital citizenship, online behavior, online etiquette. And I've given over 1,000 talks to kids over the last 6 years. So I've gained some experience just being on stage and presenting. And as Morgan mentioned, Peta Kelly, who's an Isagenix millionaire and married to Eric Hoover, invited me to be the opening speaker at the New Way Live back in May. And so I'm going to talk about some of the things I used when I did that. But really, this is a formula that you can use to craft a vision that you can stand on stage or in an in-home event and cast this vision for whoever's in the room. And the way that I've constructed this formula, just so you know, I didn't pull this out of nowhere. For 2 years after I graduated from my music degree, I worked for Apple in the retail stores doing training and sales. And so I fell in love with that company. And I've spent a lot of time watching keynote presentations delivered by Steve Jobs and now Tim Cook. And so I've dissected some of the really great sales pitches that I've seen on stage from people like Steve Jobs and Tim Cook. And I've used that to to craft and communicate a vision for anything at all. This can apply to Isagenix and start. It could also be for, if you make up a product tomorrow that's your own thing and you want to craft a vision and pitch that, this is a formula you can use to do that. So I want to dive into this, and you can take notes. This is obviously being recorded, so you can obviously come back and watch this. The first step, so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the steps, and then I'm going to use a real relatable example and apply it to Isagenix, each step individually. The first step is to begin with a general statement that everyone will agree with. So your first objective as a speaker communicating a vision to a group of people who have a whole bunch of different beliefs and systems and values is to create agreement in the room. So you want to begin with a statement that everyone's going to agree with. And you'll see an example of that in just a minute. Step 2, describe the problem or the limitation or the challenge or the pain point of the audience. You're going to describe the problem. Step 3, state your intention to solve the problem. This step is actually all that involves is you basically saying, I'm on a mission to change this. Like, that's usually what it involves. But you'll see an example in a sec. Then you describe your vision. And this isn't where you articulate your vision. This is where you just talk about the kind of vision that you have. Again, you'll see examples of this, very specific examples, and they'll be very relatable for you. Then you're going to state your vision using a belief statement. And this is based on some of Simon Sinek's work with Start With Why. If you've watched any of his TEDx talk about the golden circles or read his book, it's kind of based on that concept. Then you're going to give examples of how people are already demonstrating their desire for your product or service. So you're going to create demand for your product or service in this step right here. Then you're going to describe what life would be like with your product or service. So you're now creating a compelling future for the people that are in your audience. Then you're going to explain how you will deliver your vision. And then finally, introduce your product or service. And then the nuts and bolts of the presentation begins. So this piece is really designed to be like your first 5 minutes casting the vision. To clarify, this is a little bit different than what you might see at an opportunity meeting with Isagenix, where someone's hosting the event and they get up and they welcome everyone into the room and they use enrolling questions to get the thing started. So they'll say, like, raise your hand, or how many of you want to be incredibly healthy every single day for the rest of your life? And how many of you want to be incredibly wealthy every day for the rest? Those are enrolling questions. And that is something that the host does, the person that's introducing the speaker. This is kind of like, if you're the speaker, if you're the presenter who's then coming up, this might be your first 5 minutes. This is a script that you might memorize and deliver with passion and conviction and certainty in the first 5 minutes. So now let's get into this example. Step 1, I said, begin with a general statement that everyone will agree with. So here's an example. Now don't take this to be this is it. This is an example. You can copy this if you want to. You can tweak it. You can modify it shorter, longer. It's really, it's loose, but this is the framework. And then I'm just giving you something that you can really like grasp and hold on to. So it says, with student debt at record highs and cost of living on the rise, young people today are very quickly becoming trapped by the 9-to-5. Most are doing work they don't love, and in a situation where someone else dictates when they work, where they work, and how much they can earn. So that's just a statement, and the reality is most people in your audience are going to agree with that. Right? There's not a lot in there that people can really argue with, because it's a lot of it's based on fact. You don't have to present the statistics. It's just kind of like common understanding and knowledge in this environment. Does that make sense? Can I just get like a thumbs up from a few people if this is making sense so far? Thanks, Morgan. I can only see a couple because I'm screen sharing. I only see a few faces over here. I can maybe expand this a little bit so I see more faces and I can actually look at my audience a bit more. Never mind. Not working. Okay. Step 2. Let's see another example. Describe the problem, limitation, challenge, or pain point. Here's an example of that. For a generation that values purpose, work-life balance, and freedom more than any previous generation, this reality causes a great deal of stress and frustration. The cost of living continues to outpace salaries and wages, and it's becoming significantly harder for young people to get ahead. So now this is like a description of the problem. Make sense? Got it? Again, you can tweak this, you can modify it, you can shorten it, lengthen it. This is just an example that I've created for the sake of this training. Then you state your intention to solve the problem. And like I said before, this part's really simple, but the way that you deliver this part is everything. So all I wrote is, we are on a mission to change this. But it's your tone, it's your certainty, it's the belief and the power that you hold in the space as a speaker that will create the power in this one statement. So we are on a mission to change this, or we are on a mission to solve this problem for thousands of young people. You could say something like that. Step 4, describe your vision. And this is a very short step as well. So you're just describing it. Our vision is big, bold, and perhaps just a little bit outside the box. You're creating intrigue here. You're just talking about the kind of vision that you have. Making sense so far? Awesome. Now, this is the Simon Sinek piece, right? The start with why. We believe that in today's world, young people have the potential to create real prosperity for themselves and their families and truly customize their life in all areas without limitation. That's the power statement. And this is very personal. You're going to create your own I believe statement. You can also, this can all apply to the products. This could all apply to the business. This is really like the big vision, right, that I'm starting with. I've got one of these statements that I've customized for young families. And I've also got one of these statements that I've written up that I've customized for specific students, like university and college students. This is kind of like a young people vision. 6, give examples of how people are already demonstrating their desire for your product or service. So this isn't the testimonials. That comes a bit later, obviously, in the presentation. But it says the number of people starting internet-based businesses is growing rapidly as more and more young people are starting to understand how online shopping, social media, and smartphones have made it possible to earn a limitless income while creating complete time and location freedom. Step 7, describe what life would be like with your product or service. Now more than ever, it's possible for young people to create the freedom to do what they want, when they want, with who they want, without worrying about money. First of all, who get excited about that? Just pause there. I'm not getting any, just give me some thumbs up if you can still hear me. Awesome. Thank you, Val. Thank you, Amy. Thank you. Awesome.
You froze for a quick second, but now you're back.
What, did you miss anything there?
No, I don't think so.
You saw step 7? Good. Yep. Okay. Explain how you will deliver on your vision. So here's an example of this. To deliver on this vision, we need a new way of approaching work, time, and money. Number 1, this must be simple and accessible to everyone. Number 2, this must provide people with limitless potential for both income or impact and income. And 3, this must offer time and location freedom. If you think about it, there are very few, if any, career paths that offer all of these things, but the profession of network marketing does and is incredibly practical in 2016 and beyond. So this is where you've now introduced the profession. And then you've wrapped your introduction of your particular product or service, in this case, Isagenix and the START movement. So you finish by saying, we are partnered with an exceptional company inside the network marketing profession called Isagenix. Isagenix has solutions for weight loss, energy, performance, and healthy aging. The START movement is a group of more than 60,000 young people ages 18 to 35 who are using Isagenix as a vehicle to create optimal health, energy, and time freedom for themselves and their families. So that's a real tangible example that I hope you can use and tweak and modify. And then obviously you're not going to, as you're presenting this, you wouldn't be step 1, you're saying step 1, step 2, step 3. You just read this seamlessly. And ideally you don't read it at all. This is something that you write down and then you memorize, and then it becomes part of you, and you deliver this with conviction, with strength, with power, in a seamless flow. So this takes practice. You just kind of write down once and then you've got it. But this is a way to really captivate an audience and begin to enroll them in this vision as you start the presentation. I know my time is very limited. I want to pause here for just a second as I bring it to the happy face. And just kind of very quickly, does anyone have any quick questions about that process before I just wrap it up here with the last couple of minutes? I'll take the silence.
Feel free to unmute yourselves, you guys, if you want to ask a question. You've got him now, so take advantage.
I'm just looking through here. Okay. All right. Well, I can just move on. That's good. The last part is kind of, it's related, but not entirely. I wanted to just share a few nuggets that I've learned over 6 years of professional speaking. I'd done public speaking prior to 2010, but that was the year that I really started being paid to speak. And so I wanted to share some things that I've learned since then. And hopefully these are some nuggets that will help you, as I say here, up level your speaking. And it's simply by avoiding 3 common mistakes that I've seen a whole lot, and common mistakes that I used to use a lot on stage as a speaker. And these are mistakes that I see everywhere, not just at Isagenix events, but when I go see other speakers. And I now, in my one business, My Life Online, we are training a team of facilitators to deliver our workshop in schools all over North America. And so these are things that we're training our team on. So the first mistake that I see a lot, and I know this comes from anxiety and lack of confidence, but it's avoiding eye contact. And the reason I say this is a mistake is a little bit different than what you might think. But by making very intentional and direct eye contact with different people in your audience, one person at a time, you actually dissipate the anxiety and the nervousness. I find that by avoiding eye contact, the anxiety remains as you start speaking. So as soon as possible, when you take the stage, you want to connect and communicate with your eyes with people in the group. And I love to apply the 3-second rule, where I will actively go out of my way to engage with someone eye to eye for up to 3 seconds, and then I'll move on, as I'm speaking and if I'm just kind of standing in silence on the stage. But one of the common mistakes I'll see is that people, because they're nervous, and I guess it's due to the lack of confidence and experience, they'll look over the heads of the people and look to the side and not really make eye contact. And David Wood has trained on this a lot, and he's amazing at it. Phenomenal at just really connecting with his eyes with people. It's a mistake. Absolutely embrace eye contact when you're on stage as much as possible. And don't move your eyes around too fast. Hold it and connect and create those relationships from the stage with your audience. Number 2, the second mistake. So I call this driving before they've buckled up. And you can apply this to any audience. Anytime you have one speaker and a group of people in the audience, some of the time there'll be some chatter in the room, right? And everyone's coming in, especially in an Isagenix presentation. They're often in the evening, sometimes on weekends, but people are coming in off the streets from their busy, hectic lives. They've got lots going on. They've got cell phones, they're texting, right? And they're excited. They're not sure why they're there. And sometimes we have a tendency to, especially when we lack the experience, to start speaking in hopes that eventually the room will just become silent. And I really believe that you need to buckle up the audience before you drive. The analogy is just you're putting your kids in the minivan. You're not going to drive the van until they put their seatbelts on. For your audience, putting their seatbelts on is when they are completely silent, when you can hear a pin drop. Because I tell people that I'm training to speak that you are the artist of the environment. You create the space, and there's so much that goes into that. So take the opportunity to stand and to wait. And we teach something called buckle ups. So, in my presentation in schools, we'll do things like, I say you, when I say you say tube, you, and the students will all shout tube. When I say face, you say book, face. So when I say ISA, you say Genix, ISA. When I say start, you say movement, start. And you can play with this stuff, but it's just a great way to build the energy, to make sure they're with you. It's playful, it's fun, it breaks the ice. Another one that I love, I call this a buckle up. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 5 times. If you can hear me, give one big, and then you start and you get right into your content. But it changes physiology. And I'll often tell my audience, sit up, roll your shoulders, take a deep breath in, breathe out, and then you go. And as soon as you've buckled the audience up, you start talking. You don't want to leave any space if you do one of those buckle ups. You deliver the buckle up and then you talk. And it's amazing. Just sometimes if you feel the audience getting sluggish, let's say you've been up there for 20 minutes and you feel a little bit of okay, they're getting tired of this, snap them out of it, right? Interrupt their daydreaming, right? When I say Isa, you say Isagenix, Isa, all right, let's go. Let's wrap this up, 5 more minutes. And then you continue. So you want to just keep the energy, be the artist of the environment when you're on stage. Third and final thing, this is something it's a huge pet peeve of mine, and I notice it a lot at start presentations. So listen up. One of the biggest mistakes that I think people make on stage is they speak to the collective instead of to the individual. This is what I mean. A speaker addressed an audience as you guys or all of you, but you guys is the one that really irks me. So when you say you guys, you're speaking to everyone. And when you speak to everyone, you end up speaking to no one. You want to speak to one person. And that goes back to the eye contact. It's why it's so important to connect with your eyes, because that'll remind you that at any given moment, as you're speaking on stage, you're only ever speaking to one individual. This is a coffee shop conversation between you and your friend. So whenever you find yourself trying to say, or attending to say, you guys, like, are you guys excited about that? Just take out the word guys. First of all, it's gender specific, right? We kind of forget that in our society because it's so conversational. We use this all the time, right? Hey guys, hey you guys, right? But take out the word, right? Raise your hand if you could get excited about that. Just say you. Always just revert to you. It's me and it's you, right? Speak in the first person and then speak to individual. So these 3 mistakes here from the stage: avoiding eye contact, driving before they've buckled up, and speaking to the collective instead of the individual are 3 mistakes that I think they're easy to fix. And once you become aware of the potential to make these mistakes, then you'll avoid them. Anyway, that is all I've got. And again, I've got time for questions if anyone has any. Happy to chat about this some more and answer anyone's questions. You can also find me on Facebook, Dave Anderson, and send me a message. I'm happy to chat and support you and help as much as I can.
Phenomenal. Does anyone want to take themselves off mute and ask a question while we're here? There's so much love in the chat, Dave. I don't know if you're keeping an eye on it.
I couldn't see it because I had my screen share on, and there it is now. Okay, thank you, everyone.
It's so useful. Thank you so much. I have so much gratitude for you guys. Like, so much work would have gone into that presentation, and oh man, Dave, I'm just so grateful.
Thank you.
Definitely my take home from that, guys, is if you haven't read, get on it on Audible. I think it's a couple bucks. It's so useful just to pop in your ear when you're traveling. And Simon Sinek, Start With Your Why. If you haven't heard of that yet, I think most of you probably have. So useful. Yeah. And I will for sure be tuning back into that recording. Tina is going to have it up by midnight tonight. That's so useful. And, you know, as you touched on, practicing it until it's natural and you could just rhyme it off with whoever you're speaking to and change it up. Just thank you so much, Dave. That was so useful.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any takeaways or questions you want to add in?
Yeah, any questions, you can just write them in the chat and I'm happy to chat. I love talking about this stuff. I love talking about speaking and technique on stage, because it's something that I've worked on a lot over the last 6 years, and it's a craft. And
Can I just jump in?
Yeah,
Dave,
sure.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, so many amazing nuggets. But what I wrote in the chat was like something that has really helped me when it comes to sharing is that you want it to feel applicable to you and your languaging and your wording. So I think it's really what's been valuable for me is even with my affirmations, you know, my goals, even with my, you know, sort of templates that I use when I'm calling people or following up with people or working with teammates, is that I record myself. And I record myself and I listen to myself and then I repeat myself back in the mirror. Because if it feels weird when you do that, you know it's going to feel weird to them. So if you can do that and you can practice it over and over again, so it just becomes, then when you're in conversation, you can tweak it very easily because none of it feels weird because you already know what your basis is. So thank you for those amazing tips.
You're welcome.
Cool. So let's show some love for Dave, guys. And we're going to move into our next speaker. I'm also super excited about. This guy is super young. He's only 24. He's from Thunder Bay. And I totally fell across this guy by accident. I was asked to join on a team call with just a friend who's giving a testimony. And I'm there to, you know, show up on a Zoom and help anyone if they're giving a testimony and nervous. And this guy was hosting. And I'm like, you are like amazing. Like, who are you and where are you from? Like, you are just phenomenal. His energy is so great. He loves travel and the outdoors and fitness. He just, I think a few days ago, got certified as a personal trainer. He's just all about growth growth and development and just awesome stuff. So Cory, I'm going to let you take it away with the belief piece for tonight.
Oh, thank you so much, Morgan. Just before I get started, yes, Dave, thank you for sharing all of that. Everyone here, I'm going to speak on behalf of them. Some amazing, amazing information you shared with us. So thank you. So, as Morgan said, I'm Cory. I'm from a small town, Thunder Bay, and I'm here to share some belief with you guys. So I'm pretty excited to be here. So just before I get into it, I want to share a little story that I came across actually while I was traveling in Iceland. And this is where I really built a lot of belief in myself and, how powerful that is. And basically I was traveling to go see one of the most magnificent waterfalls I've ever seen in my life. And now, can I just ask you guys something quick? If you were to lose, say your sight or something really important to you that you use on a daily, that would be hugely effective, right? It would affect you big time. Yeah. So as I'm there, I experienced it, taking all that in. And as I'm walking back up, now get this, it's about a pretty steep hike up and down, probably a good 2 kilometers. And as I'm going up, I'm halfway going up, and I see this gentleman, and has no arms and no legs. I just took a minute and, I just watched him go down, and I had to stop and just think. I was like, that man knows what he wants. He doesn't let anything stop him. I'm sure he knows why he wants to go down there. It took a lot for him to do that. And, as I was, I went back up, and I just had to take a moment, because that built so much belief just in myself, seeing someone else not let anything stop them, anything. And it was just so cool to experience that, just to be able to see that. And the feeling that, when you see someone do something so great, it's just absolutely amazing. So no excuses, exactly. So here's the thing. I'm with his speaking, and for me, this is still very new to me, and that's why I'm very thankful for the tips he shared. So, a few years ago, even a year ago, let's say, I was petrified to speak in front of people. I was just shaking, not for me. And here I am, have the ability to share with you guys. And there it is, you guys, with all of you. Yes. And, belief doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't, it takes time to build up. It takes time to build that belief, that confidence in yourself. And, you're going to journey through a lot through life. And, that's why I'm very thankful for Isagenix. It's helped me see a lot of what I never seen in myself before. So I hope all of you have experienced something with that. Here's the cool thing. Is when you decide to step into your greatness, when you decide to start believing in yourself, great things happen. And when you really just buckle down, commit, and dedicate yourself to that goal, to that dream, to whatever it is you want in life, you can have it. But you have to believe in yourself. And if you don't, what's stopping you? It only takes one moment to make a decision to say, I want this more than anything, and I am going to believe in myself, and I'm going to go out there and get it. It's as simple as that. It takes one moment. If you're struggling, if you're, you're going out sharing Isagenix, you're going to the gym, you're trying to get that to that next level, you're trying to be who you want to be, but not even trying, you are going to be that person, and you will get there. It will take time, but with dedication and belief in yourself, you can. A thing that really helps me building belief is I love listening to motivational podcasts and audios. They fire me up. I actually listened to one just before jumping on this call. Another thing I would love to share too is a lot of us are, we're going through life and we're trying to discover who we are or find who we are. You probably heard that term. And really, you are who you are. You already know who you are. You already know where you want to go. But we all do lack belief, right? In one area of our life. Especially when there's certain people in our life that try and bring us down, try and knock us down, to disbelieve that we can't do something. The naysayers, the haters. But guess what? None of that matters. So just brush that off, because you are stronger than that. You can overcome that. And guess what? Your only limit is you. You are the only one stopping you from getting to that next level, to getting to wherever you want to go in life. So what are you afraid of? Believe in yourself. If you don't try, you'll never know. Right? So go for it. Go all in.